Hi there, this is Amber with the Campaign for Southern Equality. Everyone deserves a safe and supportive school environment, but unfortunately, we know that discrimination happens every day. If you've experienced discrimination at school, you are protected by federal civil rights laws and can file a civil rights complaint with the U.S. Department of Education Office for Civil Rights, or OCR for short. If this is happening to you or your child, know that you are not alone. In this video, we're going to walk you through the online complaint process step by step. And if you need any additional help, we encourage you to reach out to us at the Campaign for Southern Equality at info@southernequality.org. Federal civil rights laws protect everyone in the school community, not just students, but also staff and faculty. A complaint can be filed by anyone with knowledge of the discrimination. That could be an individual student or group of students, school staff or faculty, parents or guardians, or community organizations. OCR has jurisdiction over any public and private programs that receive federal funds from the U.S. Department of Education. So that's going to be all public schools, including charter schools, most colleges and universities, and some other programs such as public libraries. You can file a complaint with OCR if the discrimination that you experience was based on race, color, national origin, ethnicity or ancestry, sex or gender, which includes sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression, disability, religion, or age. And if the discrimination occurred within the past 180 days, again, at an institution that receives federal funds from the U.S. Department of Education. If you are making a complaint about discriminatory policies or practices, those are considered to be ongoing discrimination, and you are not bound by the 180-day time limit. Civil rights complaints are the most accessible and democratic way to challenge a discriminatory law or policy. A civil rights complaint lets one person or a group file a challenge directly and for free, and the Office of Civil Rights takes care of both the lawyers and the investigation. There are a few different ways to file complaints with OCR. In this video, we're going to walk through the online complaint form, which is pretty easy and user-friendly. The link to the form is on our How to File a Civil Rights Complaint webpage and in the description below. On our webpage, you'll also find examples of complaints that you can look at and use any of the content from that you like. The first few questions are pretty straightforward. Number 1, enter information about yourself, including name and contact information. Number 2 is for alternate contact information. And number 3 is who was discriminated against, yourself or someone else. Someone else could be your child, for example. So if you had a transgender child who experienced discrimination at school, you would put in their name, relationship to you, and contact information. And just know if they're 18 or older, they'll have to sign and consent. And if they're a minor, then the signature of their parent or legal guardian is required. Number 4, what institution discriminated? Again, OCR's laws cover educational institutions such as school districts, colleges and universities, public libraries, and state vocational rehabilitation agencies. Number 5, have you tried to resolve the complaint through the institution's grievance process, due process, hearing, or with another agency? If so, you're going to include the agency's name, when it was filed, and the current status. The important thing to know about this is that OCR might dismiss your complaint if it is being investigated by another agency, court, or institution, and you can refile with OCR within 60 days of the completion of the other entity's action. So if you are filing a complaint with a school, be sure to get a response. And if you don't agree with their response, you can file with OCR within 60 days. But also know that you don't have to file your complaint with the school district first. You can file directly with OCR if you don't have confidence in the school district. Then this number 6, this is the bulk of the complaint. Describe the discrimination. OCR enforces regulations that prohibit discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, disability, and/or age. There are more nuanced descriptions of each of these categories. For example, discrimination based on sex includes gender identity and expression. So for the example of your transgender child, you would check sex. Next, it says in space provided below, please describe each discriminatory action separately And for each action, you need the following details: when it happened, who was involved, what happened, any witnesses, and why you believe it was discrimination based on sex or one of the other protected categories. For this, I really recommend writing in a separate document so that if anything happens, your work is saved and you don't lose it, and then copy and paste it into the box. There's no character limit here, so you can make it as long as it needs to be. Also, this is set up to sound like it's a specific incident, and it could be, such as a teacher making a transphobic comment in the classroom. But this can also apply to policies and practices that are discriminatory. A policy example that we have seen in North Carolina related to SB 49 is requiring faculty and staff to notify parents when students use different pronouns or names. An example of a practice could be not allowing trans students to use their preferred bathroom and instead requiring them to use a single stall restroom in the teacher's lounge or the bathroom of the gender they were assigned at birth. And in number 7, your complaint must be filed within 180 days of the discriminatory action. However, if the incident has happened more than 180 days ago, you can request a waiver. For example, if you have been trying to work with the school for 6 months and the administration has just been putting you off, you can request a waiver here and explain it. Do note that OCR can't give you a waiver if the reason you didn't file your complaint within 180 days is that you didn't know about OCR. But if there is some other reason, you can explain it here. Also, if it is about a policy or practice, that discrimination is considered to be ongoing, so you don't have to worry about this 180-day limit. Number 8, what would you like the institution to do as a result of your complaint? What remedy are you seeking? Another way to say this is, what would it look like if the school got it right? We usually start with a general statement like, schools should be a safe and welcoming place for students of every gender identity and sexual orientation, and then follow that up with specific solutions. So that could be anti-bias training for staff, repealing a discriminatory policy or practice, adding an inclusiveness or non-discrimination policy, making sure that all different identities are represented in the curriculum, making sure that students are allowed to use facilities or play for athletic teams that fit their gender identity, and requiring staff to respect all students' names and pronouns. If you're not sure what remedies to ask for, you can contact us and we can talk it through. Number 9 is an option to participate in OCR's early mediation process. This is instead of going through the investigatory process. Mediation is where they'll sit down with you and the school or institution and talk things out and try to find an acceptable solution. If you're interested in that, click here. Again, if you're not sure if that makes sense for your situation, feel free to contact us and we can talk it through. Then in this last section, number 10, these are actually links. So you can read about the complaint processing procedures, the notice about investigatory uses of personal information, and the OCR complaint consent form. Consent form is super important. They will not process your complaint without it, so we'll open that up and take a look. So you'll put in your name, the name of the institution, and if you do want them to investigate, you'll sign here in section A. That's giving your consent, and what you're saying yes to is that the institution will see your complaint, including who filed it. They have to be able to see that, be able to respond to the investigation. It is strictly against the law for them to retaliate against someone for filing a complaint. So if that does happen, document it and add retaliation to your complaint. Section B is saying, no, I do not give my consent. If you sign section B, they may have to close your complaint. So again, if you do want them to investigate, just sign section A, and then you will email, mail, or fax it in. So back on this page, the original form, you'll hit submit, and then with the consent form, you'll save it or print it off and get it over to the Office of Civil Rights. and that email address is ocr@ed.gov. The fax is 202-245-8392, and the mailing address is the U.S. Department of Education, Office for Civil Rights, Lyndon Baines Johnson Department of Education Building, 400 Maryland Avenue Southwest, Washington, D.C. 20202-1100. So, what happens next? Even if it takes a long time, OCR will get to your complaint. They are required to by law. They also track the types of complaints they get, so telling your story becomes part of the big picture of what's happening with civil rights in the U.S. today. Because civil rights agencies are so important in protecting our rights, it's no surprise that politicians have been doing everything they can to slash their budgets and limit their power. There are also efforts to overwhelm these agencies with frivolous complaints. So don't expect a quick investigation or resolution. Part of the goal here is to bear witness to the discrimination, to stand up and say, this is happening and it's wrong. If you're interested in adding a media element to filing your complaint, or if you have any questions, please reach out to us at the Campaign for Southern Equality at info@southern-equality.org. We look forward to working with you.